The famous writer Mark Twain said, "Nothing was left undone by a man or nature to make India the most extraordinary country that the sun visits on his rounds." India is steadily moving past China to become the world's most populated nation. India is already the world's biggest democracy. The nation that used to be called the jewel in the crown is a place of color and contrast, filled with spice and spectacle. Every day, thousands of visitors fly in from all over the world to see India's treasures up close. Geography of India. The geography of India is extremely diverse, with landscape ranging from the snow-capped mountain ranges to the desert, plains, hills, and plateaus. India comprises most of the Indian subcontinent, situated on the Indian plate, the northerly portion of the Indo-Australian planet. The fertile Indo-Gangetic Plain occupies most of northern, central, and eastern India, while the Deccan Plateau occupies most of southern India. To the west of the country is the Thar Desert, which consists of a mix of rocky and sandy desert. India's east and northeastern border consists of the high Himalayan range. The highest point in India is disputed due to a territorial dispute with Pakistan. According to India's claim, the highest points are located in the disputed Kashmir territory is at 8,611 meters or 28,251 feet. The highest point in undisputed Indian territory is Kanchenjunga at 8,598 meters or 28,208 feet. Climate ranges from the equatorial in the far south to tundra in the Himalayan altitudes. India is bordered by Pakistan, the People's Republic of China, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, and Afghanistan. Sri Lanka and Maldives are island nations to the south of India. Politically, India is divided into 28 states, 6 federally administered union territories, and a national capital territory. The political divisions generally follow linguistic and ethnic boundaries rather than geographic transition. Location and extent. India lies to the north of the equator between 8 degrees 4 minutes and 37 degrees 6 minutes north latitude and 68 degrees 7 minutes and 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude. It is the 7th largest country in the world, with a total land area of 3,287,590 kilometers or 1,269,219 square miles. India measures 3,214 kilometers or 1,997 miles from north to south and 2,933 kilometers or 1,822 miles from east to west. It has a land frontier of 15,200 kilometers or 9,445 miles and a coastline of 7,516 and has a coastline of 7,516.5 kilometers or 4,670.5 miles. The Andaman and Nicobar Island in the Bay of Bengal and Lakshadweep in the Arabian Sea are parts of India. India is bounded on the southwest by the Arabian Sea and on the southeast by the Bay of Bengal. On the north, northeast, and northwest are the Himalayas. Kanyakumari constitutes the southern tip of the Indian Peninsula, which narrows before ending in the Indian Ocean. Political geography. India is divided into 29 states, which are further subdivided into districts. 6 union territories and the national capital territory of Delhi. States have their own elected government, while union territories are governed by an administrator appointed by the union government. The states of Jammu and Kashmir is claimed by India but disputed by Pakistan and China, who administer parts of the territory. The state of Arunachal Pradesh is claimed by China but administered by India. Geographical regions. India is divided into 7 geographic regions. And the first one is the northern mountains, including the Himalayas and the northeast mountain ranges. Second one is the Indo-Gangetic Plains. Third one is Thar Desert. Fourth one is the Central Highlands and Deccan Plateau. The fifth is East Coast, and the sixth is West Coast, and the last one is the bordering seas and the islands. Mountains. India has major mountain ranges having peaks of over 1,000 meters. The Indo-Gangetic Plains are large floodplains of the Indus and Ganga-Brahmaputra river systems. They run parallel to the Himalaya mountains from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Assam in the east, draining the states of Punjab, Haryana, Eastern Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. The plains encompass an area of 700,000 kilometers or 270,000 miles and vary in the width through their length by several hundred kilometers. Major rivers that form a part of this system are the Ganga and Indus River, along with the tributaries Beas, Yamuna, Gomti, Ravi, Chambal, Sutlej, and Chenab. The Thar Desert, also known as the Great Indian Desert, is a hot desert that forms a significant portion of western India, spread over 4 states in India: Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. It covers an area of 208,110 kilometers or 80,350 miles. The desert continues into Pakistan as the Kholistan Desert. Most of the Thar Desert is situated in Rajasthan, covering 61% of its geographic area. Most of the desert is rocky, with a small part of the extreme west of the desert being sandy. The origin of the Thar Desert is uncertain. Some geologists considered it to be 4,000 to 10 years old, whereas others state that the aridity began in this region much earlier. The area is characterized by extreme temperature of above 45 degrees Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit. The origin of the Thar Desert is uncertain, and some geologists consider it to be 4,000 to 10 years old, whereas others state that aridity began in this region much earlier. The area is characterized by extreme temperature of 45 degrees Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit in summer to below freezing in winters. Rainfall is precocious and erratic, ranging from below 120 millimeters or 472 in the extreme west to the 375 millimeters or 14.75 in eastward. The lack of rainfall is mainly due to the unique position of the desert with respect to the Aravalli Range. The desert lies in the rain shadow area of the Bay of Bengal arm of the southwest monsoon. The parallel nature of the range to the Arabian Sea arm also means that the desert does not receive much rainfall. The Central Highlands are composed of 3 main plateaus: the Malwa Plateau in the west, the Deccan Plateau in the south, covering most of the Indian peninsula, and the Chota Nagpur Plateau in Jharkhand towards the east. The Deccan Plateau is a large triangular plateau bounded by the Vindhyas to the north and flanked by the eastern, western, and western Ghats. The Deccan covers a total area of 1.9 million kilometers or 735,000 miles. It is mostly flat with the elevations ranging from 3 to 600 meters or 1,000 to 2,000 feet. The name Deccan comes from the Sanskrit word Dakshina, which means the south. The plateau slopes gently from west to east and gives rise to several peninsular rivers such as Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri, and the Narmada. This region is mostly semi-arid as it lies on the leeward side of both Ghats. Much of the Deccan is covered by thorn-scrub forests scattered with small regions of deciduous broadleaf forest. Climate ranges from hot summers to mild winters. The Chota Nagpur Plateau is a plateau in eastern India which covers much of Jharkhand state as well as the adjacent parts of Orissa, Bihar, and Chhattisgarh. The total area of Chota Nagpur Plateau is approximately 65,000 kilometers or 25,000 miles. The Chota Nagpur Plateau is made up of three smaller plateaus, the Ranchi, Hazaribagh, and the Koderma Plateaus. The Ranchi Plateau is the largest of the plateaus with an average elevation of 700 meters or 2,300 feet. Much of the plateau is forested, covered by the Chota Nagpur dry deciduous forest. The plateau is famous for the vast reserves of earth and coal. Beside the Great Indian Peninsula, the Katwar Peninsula and Gujarat is another large peninsula of India. Climate of India. In terms of climate, India can be divided into a number of regions. For the most part, the country has tropical climate which throughout most of the interior is a mixture of wet and dry tropical weather. In northern parts, there is a humid tropical climate, and along the western coast lies wet tropical areas. Stretching in a strip up the center of the country is a semi-arid climate, which also stretches across the northwest. Although stereotypical images may bring to the mind of heat of India, the country can also experience extreme cold, and this takes place largely in the northern mountainous regions, which include the cold, arid, and windswept Himalayas. Backwater boat trip in Kerala, India. Volunteering in India, working abroad. There are quite strong variations in India's four seasons. The summer months can get extremely hot, stretching between March and June, with maximum temperatures in certain parts reaching at least 40 degrees Celsius. This is the pre-monsoon season, though thunderstorms are experienced in the northeastern and eastern parts of Bihar, Assam, and West Bengal, while in the plains of northwest India is hot and dry winds are common. July to September brings monsoon rains which supply around 3/4 of country's yearly rainfall. Autumn stretches from October to December and marks the transition to winter. Temperatures slowly starts to decrease, and there is also a reduction in the humidity experienced across the country. Rainfall is common in some parts. Winter can begin as early as December. However, most areas, January and February, see the onset of this cold season, which brings average temperatures of between 10 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Celsius in the northwest regions, and between 20 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius in the southeast region of mainland. The heaviest snowfall in the mountainous regions occurs between these months, and the temperatures can drop well below zero. Islands. India has two major offshore islands possessions, the Lakshadweep Islands and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Both these islands groups are administered by the Union Government of India as Union territories. The Lakshadweep Islands lie to 200 to 300 kilometers or 124 to 186 miles off the coast of Kerala in the Arabian Sea. It consists of 12 coral atolls, 3 coral reefs, and 5 banks. 10 of these islands are inhabited. The Andaman and Nicobar Island chain lies in the Bay of Bengal near the Myanmar coast. It is located 950 kilometers or 590 miles from Kolkata, and 193 kilometers or 120 miles from Cape Negrayas in Myanmar. The territory consists of two island groups, the Andaman Islands and Nicobar Islands. The Andaman Islands consist of 204 islands having a total length of 352 kilometers or 220 miles. The Nicobar Islands, which lie south of the Andamans, consist of 22 islands with a total area of 1,841 kilometers or 710 miles. The highest point is Mount Tulier at 642 meters to 1,140 feet. Indira Point, India's southernmost and Indira Point, India's southernmost land point, is situated in the Nicobar Islands and lies just 189 kilometers or 117 miles from the Indonesian islands of Sumatra to the southeast. Significant islands just off the Indian coast include a former Portuguese exclave, Majuli, Asia's largest freshwater islands, Salsette Islands, India's most populous islands on which Mumbai or Bombay City is located, Elephanta in the Bombay Harbor, and Sriharikota Barrier Island in Andhra Pradesh. Natural disasters. India is prone to several natural disasters responsible for huge losses in life and the property. Natural disasters in India include droughts, flash floods, as well as the widespread and destructive flooding from monsoonal rains, severe cyclones, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, landslides, avalanche, snowstorms, and earthquakes. Floods are most common natural disaster in India. During the monsoon season, heavy rainfall may cause rivers to descend their banks, often flooding the surrounding areas. The Brahmaputra River is prone to perennial flooding during the monsoon season. Floods are responsible for a number of deaths and property loss in many parts of India. With the exception of the few states, almost all of India is prone to flooding. Indian agriculture is heavily dependent on the monsoon as the source of water in some parts of India. The failure of the monsoons results in the water deficiency in the region, causing extensive crop losses. Drought-prone regions include South Maharashtra, North Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. In the past, failure of monsoons has led to famines causing great damage. Politics of India. Politics of India works within the framework of the country's constitution. India is a parliamentary democratic circular republic in which the President of India is the head of state and first citizen of India, and the Prime Minister is the head of the government. It is based on the federal structure of government, although the word is not used in the constitution itself. India follows the dual policy system, in which federal in nature that consists of the central authority that the center and states at the periphery. The Constitution defines the organizational powers and limitations of both central and state governments. It is well-recognized fluid preamble of the Constitution, being rigid and dictate further amendments to the Constitution, and considered supreme, the laws of the nation must conform to it. Social structure in India. It is important to understand Indian social system because the identity of the people is greatly influenced by their gender, religion, place of birth, local language, and etc. This not only helps us understand how the social structure of India was formed and modified over time, it also sheds light on our relationship with each other. Societies around the world are divided into groups and social classes. These classes are ranked high or low based on their wealth, power, and privileges. Tribes in India. Tribe refers to the group of people with similar interests and values, with a head or leader known as Raja or King. They have influenced the characteristics of Indian culture for a very long period. Most of the tribes in India are backward in regards with education and economic parameters. Tribes in India are separated from other social groups because of some distinct features such as common names, common territory, endogamy, and political organization. Some examples of Indian tribes are Bharatas, Druyus, Purus, Yadus, and Turvasas. According to G.S. Guri, an Indian professor of sociology, there are 6 structural features of caste system. The first one is the segment division, in which someone's rank in the caste system is decided by their birth in a particular caste group. The second one is hierarchy. The ranks were divided on the basis of superiority or inferiority. Brahmins were highest in hierarchy and untouchables were at the lowest. The third one is pollution and purity. The caste was determined by the group's additional contact with any of the number of pollutants including saliva, dung dirt, waste, and etc. The fourth one is civil and religious disabilities. These were the restrictions applied to every caste stating how a group can interact with another. It was done to maintain the purity of the caste group. The fifth one is lack of choice of occupation. Every caste had traditional occupation. The high caste had a clean occupation, whereas lower castes had different occupation. Last one is restrictions on marriage. One was allowed to marry within their caste only. Although it is not evident as it's among Hindus, caste is also from among Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Jains, and Jews.
The caste system of India. Brahman, the highest rank of the 4 Varnas or traditional social classes of India, includes Hindu priests, advisors, and intellectual leaders. The second one is Kshatriya. The second highest of the Varnas includes rulers, military leaders, and large landowners. The third one is the Vaishya. The third highest of the 4 Varnas include merchants, trades, and farmers. Next is Shudra. The lowest ranked Varna traditionally includes artisans, laborers, and servants. And the last one is Dalit, or formally called untouchable. A fifth category with no Varna designation includes various low status persons and those outside the caste system.
Untouchability and India. The fifth group in the Indian caste hierarchy, the Panchamas or 5, were excluded from that system because their occupations and ways of life brought them in contact with impurities or pollutants. They were formerly called the untouchables because the upper caste believed that their touch will transmit the impurities and hence avoided touching them. Mahatma Gandhi raised voice against untouchability and gave them a new name, Harijans. Slavery in India. Slavery is condition where one human being is owned by another. Slaves are viewed as property, hence they were both sold, traded, or captured. In India, slavery was very different from the rest of the world due to the nature of Indian society. The legal relationship between the slaves and their master was clearly laid out. The slaves were mostly employed as attendants, servants, and laborers. Their masters had no rights over their lives. Arthashara states that a man can be a slave by birth, by voluntarily selling himself, by being captured in war, And last one is a result of judicial punishment. Judge money system. The judge money system emerged during the early medieval period and continued until modern times. It was a complementary system in which the service caste provided service to the higher land owning caste in exchange for some shares of the produce a small portion of land. Social classes in India. Features of society is also influenced by its social classes. The social classes structure in India divided into three parts. The first one is the agrarian class structure. In India, the caste system has given way to class system as in most parts of India lands are still owned by traditional cultivating upper caste and landless lower caste. Laborers work with them and this relation is no longer regulated by the caste system. In agrarian structure, operational holdings in India is divided into five size classes. Large farmers has 10 hectares and above, medium farmers between 4 to 10 hectares, small to medium farmers 2 to 4 hectares, small farmers 1 to 2 hectares, marginal farmers less than 1 hectare. The second one is industrial class structure. The industrial class structure in India came to existence during British era along with mercantile middle class and new bureaucratic administrative class. Due to the effects of industrialization, the industrial class saw many changes, such as the number of workers in agricultural work decreased while that of workers engaged in individual activities increased. Trade unions were organized to raise issues of industrial workers. The third one is middle classes in India. The middle class occupies a socio-economic position between the working and upper classes. Under the patronage of British colonial rule, the middle class began to rise in India. The middle class was very significant during India's freedom struggle and even after independence. The middle class played an important role in directing the social and economic growth of the country and populating the social diversity in India. Families in India. Families are the smallest unit that describe characteristics of social structure. A traditional family is generally patriarchal and patrilineal, meaning the father or the oldest male member is the head of the house, and the headship descends in the male line of the family. In modern towns, we see small families consisting of a couple and their children. These families are known as nuclear families. There are some regions, like Kerala, where families are matrilineal, in which the headship descends in the female line of the family. Traditionally, the family in India is commanded by two schools of sacred laws, Mitakshara and Dayabhaga families. In India, generally follow Mitakshara customs. Marriage in Indian culture. Traditionally, marriage were arranged by the parents of the couple belonging to the same caste from different gotras. Mostly monogamous marriage were followed, but polygamy was not prohibited as it came with many benefits such as forging allies or increasing the chance of having a son. Under the modern laws, polygamy has been made illegal. The Child Marriage Act 1954 deals with age at marriage, freedom to marry without parental consent. Hindu Marriage Act was amended in 1986 and prescribed the age of marriage of girls as 18 years and for boys as 21 years. Women in Indian society. Women in India have seen progressive decline of their status during the Vedic period. Women participated in affairs of the tribe, made decisions for themselves, or indulged in art. In the post-Vedic period, with the detachment of tribal institutions, their condition deteriorated. Political structure in India. There is a provision for a bicameral legislature consisting of an upper house, the Rajya Sabha or Council of States, which represents the state of the Indian Federation, and the lower house, the Lok Sabha, House of the People, which represents the people of India as a whole. The Constitution provides for an independent judiciary, which is headed by the Supreme Court. The court's mandate is to protect the Constitution, to settle disputes between the central government and the states, to settle interstate disputes, to nullify any central or state laws that go against the Constitution, and to protect the fundamental rights of the citizens, issuing rights for their enforcement in cases of violation. There are 543 members in Lok Sabha who are elected using plurality voting, first past the post system from 543 single-member constitutionist system. From 543 single-member constitutionists, there are 245 members in the Rajya Sabha, out of which 233 are elected through indirect election by single transferable vote by the members of the state legislative assemblies. 12 other members are elected nominated by the President of India. Governments are formed through election held every 5 years, unless otherwise specified, by parties that secure a majority of members in their respective lower houses, Lok Sabha in the central government and Vidhana Sabha states in India. First general election in 1951, which was won by Indian National Congress, a political party that went on to dominate subsequent election until 1977, when a non-Congress government was formed for the first time in independent India. The 1990s saw the end of single-party domination and the rise of coalition governments. The latest 17th Lok Sabha election was conducted in 7 phases from 11 April 2019 to 19 May 2019 by Election Commission of India. That elections once again brought back single-party rule in the country, with the Bharatiya Janata Party or BJP being able to claim a majority in Lok Sabha. In recent decades, Indian politics has become dynastic affair. Possible reasons for this be the party stability, absence of party organizations, independent civil society associations that mobilize support for the parties, and centralized financings of elections.